What is going on, everybody? Today we got another video back with the Miata back here. It is raining outside, so if you hear some rain noise and if that is annoying you at any point in this video, I apologize. I got to get this done now because tomorrow I'm not going to see Brittany and the brakes need to be done in this car. We're going to be installing rotors and pads today to the front brakes. I actually replaced the rear brakes. I'll put an annotation to a video right here. If you want to see me installing rear brakes on the Miata, you can definitely check out that video. It's kind of like a how-to video, so if you guys want to know how to install rear brakes on a Miata, that's the video to watch. But we are going to be doing the front brakes today. I'm going to show you guys now the brake pads and rotors I went with. So we got some slotted rotors today and we got some really good brake pads. These brake pads are actually made of, some part of it is made of carbon fiber, which is pretty cool, but I got them because they're ceramic performance pads and they'll stop the Miata a lot better than it is stopping now. So doing the front brakes is really going to either make your performance of braking better or break it. I got some front brakes done on the Mazda Speed 3 a couple months ago, I think 5 or 6 months ago, and I did it at a shop, and I very much noticed that the braking was not as good as it once was before. And that's because of the parts that they used weren't definitely as performance as they could have been. So today we're going to get into it and I'm going to show you guys right now. I got to jack up the car, take off the lug nuts, take off the wheel, and then we'll get into it. Right now we're going to be doing a test of the old brakes. We're going to go from like a 40 to 0 and also a 25 to 0. We're going to test them from old to new. I'm going to put this in the beginning. I'm also going to put this at the end too, so you don't have to reference back to it. Is that too early?
No? At the rock, right?
At the rock?
Oh my gosh.
Did I stop a little early?
No? You thought that
stopped pretty good?
I was just more in shock.
What? Did I stop pretty quick?
I guess.
It stopped pretty quick. It is raining, so take that into account. That was a 0 to 40.
Okay.
So that's where I tried to stop at. I think I actually stopped a little bit before, maybe like a 2 or 3 feet before it. And the first one where we went 0 to 25 landed right there. So about, honestly, like 17, 18 feet. And then the next one was like a car and a half of a Miata forward. This is 40 miles an hour. And we started over there. 15 miles an hour, and we started right there. The next thing we're going to be doing is disconnecting this caliper bracket. Now there's going to be, or the caliper, so there's going to be 2 bolts. One on the top, which is right here, and one on the bottom, which is right here, so we can take off the caliper. What in the Frank? There's 2 bolts that are impossible to get off, so I squared some WD-40 on them, but it's a 17 and a 14 millimeter bolt. What the Frank? Lynn? Delanor, what's about? The rotors definitely aren't great. These definitely need to be replaced. The pad, there's a ton of brake pad left, but it is crackly. Look at those. Ooh. So it's always good to take note of this. This one's obviously bigger than this one, so I just remember the bigger one is on the top and the smaller one is on the bottom. But for now, this caliper should come off, which it will, but I'm gonna go get a zip tie. I'm gonna zip tie this caliper right here with this brake line up on the suspension somewhere, because you don't want it just dangling off and then the brake line have a lot of tension on it, because that'll destroy the brake line. Oh. Perfect. So at this point, if you were just replacing the brake pads, you wouldn't need to take the caliper bracket off, but we were actually doing the rotors as well, so we need to take this caliper bracket off, which is 2 bolts back here as well. Another pretty important part about doing brakes are these metal brackets that are on the top and the bottom of the caliper bracket. These little brackets have to go on exactly the way they went on before if your kit doesn't offer new ones. Most kits will offer new ones if you get them for your car, but if not, make sure these go on the same way. Even if you have the new ones, they got to go on the same way they did
when they came off the car. That is the difference between the new rotor and the old rotor. A little different.
So with my brake pads, it actually came with a kit for these new metal pieces that go on the caliper bracket. One-man army. Oh. Duh. Duh. Here's the difference between the brake pad. This is definitely made of some kind of metal, and this is ceramic, so this is probably supposed to stop a lot better. That's the goal, at least. It almost looks like fibery, like a cloth, which is kind of sketch, but definitely a lot more brake pad on the ceramic one. So that means we're gonna have to push the caliper back, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So what we gotta do now is compress this piston right here, and it's a little different from the past brake pad video I made. We actually have to compress it with something called a C-clamp, which is right here. You put this part of the C-clamp from back here to the piston, and then we're gonna push it in. We put a brake pad up against right here, and we're gonna be compressing against the back of the caliper against the brake pad, and we're gonna try to force down this piston. Now the bleeder screw is not opened right now. We're gonna try to do this without it. And it's working. Okay, so we put on the brake pads. We didn't show you because we were having trouble with it. These metal shims right here are actually the old shims we took off. These are the new ones. We put the new ones on, and this pad that came with these new shims would not go on. When we tried for like 20-25 minutes on its, or probably less than that. Maybe it was 25. It doesn't matter. It didn't go on. We used the old ones. It doesn't matter. They're just keeping the things in place, and now we're gonna put the caliper on. Since the piston is pushed back, it goes on perfectly fine. If the piston wasn't pushed back, then it wouldn't go on at all, and you need to push the piston back. Like I did before, I'm making sure this big one goes on the top. It's also a 17mm head, and the bottom one's a 14mm head, and it's gonna go on the bottom. So now that there's our hand tight, we're gonna go on and do the other side, and we're gonna get this done really quick. Then we're gonna press the brakes so the caliper meets the actual brake pad itself, and then we're gonna put the wheels back on and test them. Time to put these bad boys back in the car.
I'm gonna go push on the brakes a couple times. This caliper should tighten up. The piston on the caliper will tighten up. I'm gonna see if we can see it.
Right now what we're gonna do is actually bed in the brakes. Now there's many different methods, and if you ask one person how to bed in a brake, you're gonna get a different answer from someone else. But in this specific kit, it says to do 5 aggressive decelerations from 40 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, and 5 moderate decelerations from 35 to 5, and then just drive for about 5 minutes slowly and cool down your brakes. So that's what we're gonna do before we do the test again. Again, we do have some markers out there that we took a 25 to 0 aggressive brake and a 40 to 0 aggressive brake, and we're gonna see if we can beat that this time around with the new brakes. Just got on the road. I'll give my kind of first impressions. Again, the front brakes do most of the braking, so I'm expecting kind of a drastic change here. 40 to 10 5 times aggressively, 35 to 5 times moderately aggressively, and then drive around for 5 minutes. So I'm gonna whip around here in a second, and then we're gonna go 40 to 10. 40, get in a straight line to 10. Okay, that wasn't the best. So we just did them all. Honestly, after every single time it got better and better, which is good, and I've been told after a period of time, even the next 100 miles, it'll get a little better and better as we go on. And now after this, after we drive for the next 5 minutes to cool them down, we are going to do that test again that you guys will see. So I'll play the old one and the new one. So this first one is gonna be 25 to 0, and the second one is gonna be 40 to 0. Dead stops, and we'll see how we do. Is that too early?
No? At the rock, right?
The rock?
You stop before the rock.
I definitely crank.
Just go in reverse. telling me you're looking at this rock and then hitting the brakes?
I'm trying.
That's just an incredible improvement. Worse.
My understanding is if the tires screech and lock up, that the brakes are too powerful for the tires, which isn't like necessarily a horrible thing. It just means you need better tires, I think. But technically, if we had a wider tire with more tire on it, the tires shouldn't have locked up. That's what I'm getting from that. On the 25-0, we definitely did a lot better than this. We got like halfway up here. Here's the freaking peel we had going right here, and it looks like there was some peel, a tiny bit of peel right here before. It just didn't peel super bad. Guys, that is the video. If you liked the video, like the video. If you guys learned something today, like the video. If you disliked the video, then like the video. Always like that video. You don't have to like the video. If you want to like the video, go for it. But if you don't want to, don't. Comment if you believed the brakes actually did something, and subscribe and put the notifications on so you guys can see every single one of my videos. See you guys later. Peace out.
I ain't got no problem spending all of my money.